Hello, my name is Chris, and welcome to the Delta. Thanks for tuning in. Today's video, or this video, is going to be pretty much just a reaction and kind of unscripted and just voicing my opinion. Seems to be big news of the day, and a lot of people seem to be upset about it. The big news is obviously Andretti was rejected to enter Formula One as an 11th team, and a lot of people are upset about that. And I kind of get what they're saying. It's a kind of a big deal if you're, I'm assuming, a longtime fan, kind of want to see new teams and new faces and new opportunities for people. And maybe this is beyond my scope, but I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea or bad thing. We'll first start off with the statement that Formula One put out. It's paraphrased. Um, they basically said our assessment process has established that the presence of an 11th team would not, in in and of itself, provide value to the championship. While the Andretti name carries some recognition for F1 fans, our research indicates that F1 would bring more value to Andretti than the other way around. F1 also believes that they would not even be a competitive participant, and they said that maybe in 2028 they could revisit, and if GM or General Motors produces a better engine or power supply or power unit, maybe they could reconsider. Naturally, Andretti responds not happy at all. They don't agree, and they believe they've done enough research that is suffice enough for them to be a competitive team. As a new fan, this is kind of awkward for me because I don't know how this stuff really works, but I do have a lot of sports experience in other professional leagues. The biggest one that I like would like to compare to would be like the NFL in America, American football. There's 32 teams, and there's one person on each team that is the most important person on the team, and that is the quarterback. He handles the ball, he makes the play calls, he throws the ball. Every single play on offense, it's his job to make the right decisions. Now, the problem with that is with 32 teams, that means if you divide that in half, that means you have 16 above average quarterbacks and 16 below average quarterbacks. Obviously, if you're a team that has a top 16 quarterback, you tend to do better. And if you have a bottom 16 quarterback, you're not going to do well. Now, out of those 16, there's probably only 12 that will actually give you a legitimate shot deep into a championship run. And out of those 12, there's probably only 8 that can do it regularly or normally that any team would be willing or wanting to have from that person. I say this because in America, people love football. And we always talk about expanding the league and how much it would be so much fun to have a team in Memphis or a team in Austin or a team. They've talked about a team in London. They've talked about a team in Toronto, Salt Lake City. Like we have plenty of cities that want teams. But where you run into the problem is that you only have so much available in your player and coaching pool that are capable of performing at a professional high level. So let's say I create a football team called the, I don't know, Memphis Bisons, right? I enter the league and they say, well, you got to construct a team and this is the player pool you have. I might get lucky and be able to pull a good quarterback straight out of college and start building from there. But most likely, I will not. I will most likely fail. I will most likely do poorly. I will most likely not produce. But at the same time, as an owner of the team, I want to be able to reap in the benefits of bringing in the money that NFL ownership warrants. So what a new team has to rely on is basically being carried by the teams that are already existing in basically like a shareholding event. Like everyone has to earn money. And yes, some teams probably make more money than others, but at the end of a season or whatever, they have to give that money, quote unquote, to the NFL, and the NFL then divvies it up to whatever sanctions and people and teams and programs, whatever they're running. And I say that because you can't just put two brand new football teams into a league, tell them it's okay if you suck. It's okay if you don't do well. It's okay if you don't have the money to support your facilities. It's okay if you can't find good players to play for your team because 32 other teams will take care of you. And to compare that to the Formula One, you run into what I believe a very similar issue. You got 10 teams, 20 drivers. Not everyone can be a good driver. Not everyone can be a good team. Look at Haas and look at the bottom tier drivers in Formula One. I promise that you can think of 3 drivers right now that don't even belong in Formula One. You could probably sit there and be like, this guy, and this guy. If they lost their seat, it's probably warranted, right? So while I enjoy the idea of Andretti joining into the Formula One, it'd be another team, another brand, another fan base, more driver opportunities. You have to look at how the ripple effect of bringing that team to Formula One would be. Like when Andretti comes in, for instance, when they come in, do they have 2 drivers that are competitive? Are we dealing with like Latifis? You know, Nicholas Latifi seems like a great guy. However, probably not the best F1 driver. Where are we pulling this from? Are we pulling him from an academy? Does Andretti have an academy that they can pull from that they believe in? And are these people that they're pulling out of the academy going to be able to keep up with the likes of not even Verstappen or Leclerc or Lando? Can they keep up with the likes of somebody like Esteban Ocon? Because Esteban is probably your mid-tier driver. Is Esteban going to get any better and make any waves? Because if you're not at least getting something like that, then you just might as well be on the bottom rung of the teams. Same thing with their coaching and engineering. How many high-level engineers are there that are capable of running a race team? Now, from what I understand, Andretti loves racing, and Andretti takes it serious, and they want all the good things to come from that. There's an argument that Andretti deserves to be in Formula One the same amount, if not more, than Haas. Unfortunately, Haas is already established, and they have drivers. So Andretti comes in. Who's taking a seat? Let's say there's pull people from the academy. The team has to make a top 5, top 6 to really start seeing some real financial benefits out of the deal. So they pull 2 kids out of the academy, and they're not F1 ready. Or if they are F1 ready, they aren't going to be competitive in F1, and Andretti fails year 1. Where's that money go? Who comes up with the money? Andretti forks it over. Okay, year 2. Let's say some contracts expire. What, is Checo going to Andretti now? What if Andretti's car was horrible the last time? Checo doesn't want to go to Andretti the previous year. They finished last. Does Sainz go over to Andretti? Lando's not leaving. George Russell, if he has an opportunity, I doubt that George Russell is wanting to downgrade to a new team when he believes that he's a top racer in Formula One. But let's say you can. Let's say you persuade Sainz and George Russell to go over to Andretti, right? Where are we guaranteeing that they can win? Because Formula One has doubts on their power unit. So now you've then also watered down the competition because you took Sainz out of Ferrari, because now Ferrari has to replace him. Who knows who you're going to find? Is it going to be Piastri? Are you going to pull Piastri from McLaren? Piastri is not a Sainz. Are you going to pull a kid out of the Ferrari Academy? He's not going to be as good as Sainz. Where's George? Who's replacing George Russell? Let's say George Russell gets replaced by Piastri. Well, then who's McLaren replacing? McLaren going to pull someone out of the academy? There's going to be you just can't, somewhere along the line, 2 seats have to be filled. And when I look at the racer pool, there's 20 top racers in the world. And I can argue that only 17 really deserve to be in Formula One. But 3 seats have to be filled regardless. So finding those 2 extra seats aren't going to make it easy for anyone to get better. And then you'll get top heavy. Because teams like Red Bull and Ferrari and Mercedes and McLaren, they'll just put their foot down and be like, we're not going to lose Sainz. We'll just re-sign him. Sainz will be more than happy to stay with us if we pay him enough money because he'll be known. So, again, I just don't necessarily believe that the rejection was the worst thing in the world. I personally would think that you'll just end up making the bottom half of Formula One even worse and separating the distance between the bottom half and the top half. Next thing you know, Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari are 100, 150 points ahead of everybody come the end of the season, and then everybody else is jockeyed for 5th, 6th, 7th place. Now, if that's why you love the sport, by all means, that's cool. But if you have to think as Formula One as a business, that's not what they're looking for. They want the sport to be exciting. They want opportunity for those mid-tier teams to maybe even jump one of the top-tier teams come a bad season. Let's say Ferrari puts out a bad car this year. Wouldn't it be exciting for Aston Martin to overtake them and be like, wow, they had a really good year? That's going to bring in some fandom. That's going to bring in some viewership. Why? Because that's exciting. It's not exciting if Andretti enters the thing, Haas does horrible, and Andretti comes in 10th and Haas comes in 11th. No one would want to watch that. And that's what F1 is thinking. There's no benefit for them while all the notoriety of Formula One attached to Andretti benefits them. This is probably an unpopular take, but it's a realistic one. I would love to see GM getting involved with Formula One. I think it would help the American brand. I don't think this is the answer. I don't think sitting there and just accepting prominent names as brands and teams is going to get you what you want. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer either. It's not like I can sit there well, this would be a good way that Andretti could enter the circuit. I think there's just not enough top-tier talent to support an 11-team Formula One. I don't know. Maybe there's some historical data. Like, if someone can prove to me that Alpine, Haas, or Stake has any real opportunity to climb in the ranks, I would love to hear it. Because if I can hear that, like, a mid-tier team that already exists, that is already established, that already has not horrible drivers, if there's a way that they can somehow surpass and get into the top-tier team range, then maybe you would have an argument. I just don't see it. Jockeying drivers around and bringing in 2 new drivers that probably wouldn't earn a seat in Formula One anyways isn't going to make Andretti or Formula One, for that matter, any good or exciting to watch. Anyway, that's just my hot take. It's pretty raw, it's pretty unscripted because I just put some basic information together based off of the F1 statement and the reaction that a lot of fans had. If you disagree, let me know and tell me why you disagree, because, like I said, it has to be something more than, well, it's for the fans' entertainment. It's not going to be entertaining if all it does is just divide the pool up more. So anyway, that's it. I hope everyone has a good day. If you like the content, like and subscribe. Until next time, take it easy. Bye.